I'm just so
Like
giddy.
awkward.
Oh, boy.
That awkward silence before you get started.
That's always awkward.
Look at that, Jimmy. The
Old school. Hey,
throwback.
I got it right over here, brother.
Is it the blue hat one? That's the original OG.
No, the blue
You got
hat
the
ones are over
rebrand.
here. I don't take those down. Those are like the original. Yeah, this one is that's the gray hat. That's the second generation. And then the third generation.
Swagged out today. Look at this hat.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. I
It
can tell you,
lights up on the video.
we at Energy World that do a really good job of
Swagging people out.
Swag, brand, the whole bit. So,
So cute.
oh, a little tracer, throwing a little tracer in there. That's
Asset
not
management.
Yeah,
you can tell we're a little bit off our game. But when you do cold opens, you can just do whatever you want when you start the show. You just go. It's been a while, Jimmy. We spent there was a big run this year where we were almost together every other week. It seemed like for a good stretch at live events. And
yeah, I think that started at LGA in the summer months.
Yeah, and then you sprinkle in all the freestyle episodes that we did, and then all the recording that we did, the recording weeks and stuff. And man, we were busy, virtual, in person, whatever. We put in work this year.
We love it though, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Man, we talked to a lot of people. I think one of the funny conversations that we always get into when we're out there is some people think this is our real job, like that we're just podcasters and we're in some studio or something, like this is EWN Studio B,
And I'm in EWN Studio F for
Florida. Yeah. But the reality is we're, we have real jobs that we really get paid for. And so, we get to travel around and do the show sometimes. And that is occasionally compared to the real work. But the truth is it's been a minute since you and I got to sit down and record.
Yeah, it has been. It has been quite a little bit of a time here, but we've been doing this really, James, when you think about it, we're right under 150 episodes. We've been doing this for 2.5 years, right when the pandemic hit. I remember,
Incredible.
I mean, and we were doing it every week. The first part was really difficult. Remember that? When we were literally doing it each and every week.
Yeah. For sure. But, meant for what it was at the time, I think it was exactly what we needed. We needed to get together 100%. Once a week. We didn't have anything else to do. That's for sure.
You remember you called me? I mean, I'm just going to share. You called me. In my life, I'd spent 150 nights on the road, presentations, events, conferences, board meetings, committee meetings, all that. And all of a sudden you're like, there ain't no travel. And I'm like, what do you mean there's no travel? What is this pandemic doing to me?
Triggering.
Yeah.
I tell that story in a lot of my speaking this past year. Some of my speaking engagements, I tell that story, and it's weird how I get transported. It's one of those moments I remember where I was and what I was doing when I made that call. But this freestyle is a little different, and
it is.
I've been doing some reading here lately. Brene Brown's Atlas to the Heart, shout out. If you're looking for something to read, and she talks about bittersweet. Yeah. And this kind of one of those definitions for us. And don't worry, we're not canceled
yet.
This isn't a farewell episode. Not that we know of. That's the good news. But we are going to go on a hiatus over the holidays, and it's weird for us because we have kept the pace of one show a week since we started this. Now that doesn't mean that we record it every week. It did at the beginning, like Jimmy just said, but you know, for sustainability, we had to make it, batch it sometimes and record in the rears and do whatever we need to get some in the can and store them up. And so, you know, the reality is it's been a long run and we need a break.
Yeah.
In order to sustain quality, the second is we need to kind of step back and refresh what we're doing. I think we both kind of looked up and we're almost 150 episodes in. And for two guys that weren't sure if this was going to work or if this was one of those fly by night things, we looked up and was like, okay, well, and we have quite a bit of interest for next year, so I guess we're going to keep doing this thing. So in order to do that well and service the industry and everybody the way that we expect, we want to take a break. And so all podcasts do it. Okay.
I feel,
No, it feels dirty, like we're breaking up with them. We love you, just the same.
But that's our lifeblood right there. That's the key to it.
Yeah, because again, what I mentioned earlier about this isn't our real job. This is a part of what we do.
Yeah.
And this is a very important time, right? Setting goals and doing that kind of stuff, and then also sharpening our saw. Like,
right?
What hypocrites can we be telling everybody to sharpen their saw, and then we never sharpen our saw?
We gotta walk the talk, so to speak. And you're absolutely right. And so many people get it right now. Being in fourth quarter, we have 2023 planning session, strategy, all those things, and everybody's going through. A lot of folks are going through that now. And we're not alone, and that's a huge thing. And part of it, though, too, besides our normal experience officer, chief experience officer, our EAM, VP, all those. I mean, we have those things that we need to walk through with. So it's good. It's right. It does feel a little weird though to announce it that we're gonna come out strong though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anybody who's been following the show knows the last, I don't know, we've had some amazing guests. The quality just keeps getting better. Not that our first guests weren't awesome quality. What I mean is we're getting better and more exposure, and more people are seeing it, and more people want to come on the show. And so we want to do that justice, and do a little bit of planning and think a little bit slower. And so we're excited. Yeah, be a little proactive and step back and knock it out of the park. So, 150 episodes basically.
Yeah.
We've had hundreds of people on, and when I say hundreds, you're like, dude, you only had 150 episodes. But those live events, we've had so many guests on those.
30 to 50 to 60 at each event. Easily.
It's that part is what blows my mind. So we're going to take a minute, and we'll be back. We'll talk about that at the end of the show, but February 1, we're going to bring the show back and kind of kick off this season. And then we'll have a planned hiatus within the year. Again, for us to sharpen our saw.
Months.
Yeah, somewhere probably the end of the summer, early fall, when we get that little bit of break in. And we may still do live events during that. But again, we're going to step back. Again, about sustainability and being proactive and sharpening our saw. Slow down a minute and then take off again. So we're excited about it. But Jimmy, I think it's a good time for us to kind of look back a little bit. We haven't really looked back since the 100th episode, which a lot has changed since then, if you think about it. We've done another 40 episodes since then. So it's been amazing. But I was just wondering if there was anything, for me, the live events have been amazing. Was there anything or any particular, highlight for you?
Well, since you mentioned the live events, really, for me, a kind of a pinnacle was AGA in Orlando last year. and we were a year and a half into the pandemic and kind of coming out of it, maybe not so, back and forth. And then we're like, hey, let's do coffee live at the AGA, which was really groundbreaking for us. And we didn't know what to expect, but it was interesting though, because we had been living for a year and a half on this medium, talking to a flat screen.
Yeah.
And we also know that we have lived a majority of our professional life, at least I have, speaking in front of people, talking to people, having those conversations about projects and everything. So all of a sudden we got to AGA, set it up, and I was amazed when all of a sudden we had people. Russell Treat came over, other people, Monique Roberts, Mike Lamont, others, they were just stopping by and said, hey, we've been watching the podcast. Can we watch it here? And we're like, how about jumping on with us? And they're like, can we do that? And we're like, we can do that. And
That
for me,
was, do you remember we also moved? Remember we went and recorded with Hydromax while we were there over with
they invited us over.
John's team at the time. We
Yeah.
moved over there and then we came back and we recorded live events at ours. Like there was so much going on at that event.
Yeah. That was like for me, that was the pinnacle, because that to me was, when we talk about hybrid and we talk about an environment that, what's the best of both worlds, that was it for me, because we were there, we were live, we were interacting, we were side by side talking to people, yet still using this medium to take it back to the audience and take it back to the people that couldn't attend.
Yeah,
And
I've mentioned it before, but the design team behind it and that whole orchestration. Remember Ashley being there, and the thing was that it was busy and high, 100 miles an hour during the event, but when it was done, and I, got back to my room and our teams got back to their rooms, they were shipping stuff back, digitally, so that we could crank out the videos every day. And so we were sharing these in not real time, not even close, but you know what I mean, the next day in pretty short order. And that was kind of a first, I think. And now we're seeing more event sharing in our industry, sharing videos and stuff from there.
yeah.
But that was kind of the first to bring it back and bring some of that. And then the live, episodes came out. I was like, what? So we just created a pattern around it, a workflow, and we've been just crushing those live events. Our team, rock stars, man, up and down.
And this isn't just words. We could not do it without the team behind the scenes. They're not on the camera, but without them, this would not work.
So
but James,
many awesome people.
100% awesome people. I mean, again, we could not do it without them. But building on that, what about you? I mean, what was your
Well, I'll stick with the live thing for now. Is the SGA event that followed the AGA. So we learned kind of from our mistakes a little bit.
Which is good, right?
Yeah, live wise, like what to do, what not to do.
Yep.
But when we got to SGA, we learned that we won, the Corporate Communications Award. And it was really weird for me because AGA was a setup. Like I knew the amount of work and the amount of time and effort we put into it. And I knew it was going to be a spectacle no matter what. Like it may have flopped and we didn't do it perfectly, but I knew from a marketing standpoint that it was solid, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have any reservation. We had spent the money, the time, the effort, and we knocked it out of the park. But SGA was more simplified with what we learned, but we won the award. And we ran so many people through the show, and we met so many people that time that had watched the show. Yeah. And I don't know, that one validated for me. I told my wife the night after we won the award, I was like, today may have been the greatest day, of my career. And I was being really honest. It was really far up there. Again, just execution, everything was just great. But I don't know about you, Jimmy, but I think what we kind of, and we've had this conversation before, but when we talk about those live events and the timing of them and how well they all went off, I think really what we were seeing was the product was um, that comfort level. You know, it's hard to put in words. Like doing this 100 times, you get better at it, right? I mean, it's the truth. And when you do those live events and you pump 30 people through there, you get better at it.
Comfortably too. And the key to that too is helping them be comfortable. Because it's weird, it took us a while to get our not rhythm, but just, we were in sync.
We were
And then
not, I mean, we were not best friends when this started, Jimmy. Like,
oh no, no, no.
I don't know if people realize that, but
We were friends.
yeah, absolutely.
We
We
were
were on
good
the same
friends.
team. Like,
Yeah.
we were
But
after the same things, but the
now we're
reality
best
was,
friends.
yeah,
And
like
it's
now we,
because of this.
yeah, absolutely.
Because there's
Absolutely.
blood, sweat, and tears during this thing. And when you spend that much time and go through those many things with somebody,
Yeah,
it's either you become enemies or best friends. And thank the good Lord, we became best
absolutely.
friends. But
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when you see people on their hard days and their best days, and you learn a lot during those times. We had a lot of overlap. And I think that comfort level of number one, I mean, probably the first 50 episodes were we were scared to death every time. You know, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have any, there was no reason the people that joined us on the show should have. Like, there, now there's a history. I can say there was 100, there was no authority back then. It was basically like, what?
do you remember I mean, you just mentioned it. Do you remember I used to have scripts, and I used to be like, welcome to Coffee with Scroll Jim and James. It was literally as bad as that. But
Yeah, I think we get comfortable in our craft, but also you and I had to learn each other enough to set each other up and know what your skills were and know what
yeah,
my skills were and
yeah,
know when to let somebody go and just go on a tangent, do whatever it is, or just shut
yeah.
up. You know, there's plenty of episodes where we get permission slips right at the beginning, and it's like, "Hello, my friend. Um, I don't know anything about this topic, so Jimmy's going to be running the show." You know, like that's how we worked, and it's a comfortability that we kind of got to. Is that a word? Comfortability, whatever. Um,
Sounded good.
yeah, yeah.
I'll take it.
We had to get to really perform, and I think AGA and SGA right around that moment is when we got comfortable in our own skin
We
and
did.
really hit the gas.
Absolutely did.
Right.
And and that comfortability though,
There
it's
we go.
nothing that you can say it turns on now, it turns off now. It comes naturally. It either happens or it doesn't happen. And I think that's part of the chemistry between us as we go back and forth. And being in this medium, it's a little hard when we're not side by side, because I tell you, even like at AGA for me, when we're side by side and we bring a guest on or somebody, we had crowds out there, and we're like, hey, you want to hop on? And then people would be, and these are people that I've talked to for years, okay, personally, and
Oh,
there's
sure.
no problem. And they're like, I don't talk in front of cameras. And I'm like, I don't either, but just pretend
I
the
do
camera's not
now.
there. Just pretend we're just catching up. Just pretend we're just, talking like the camera's not even here. And it takes a little bit to get those people into it, because it took us, or took me for sure, a while to get used to that. Talking in front of 150 people at a presentation is
It's different.
no big deal. But in front of a flat screen, I'm like, what do
Hmm.
I do? Where do
It's
but
so, especially somebody who wears headphones and stuff, it's so
yeah,
personal, right? You don't look at people, there's too much stimuli, like you
yeah.
don't look people this closely in the face every day. Like there's studies about how bad this is for us. Like number one, you don't see yourself at the same time. So
Oh,
you can say
yeah.
whatever you want, but most people are looking at themselves, making sure they look good while they talk. Like that's just part of what we're doing. But what I mean, there's a comfortability in that we had to get to. And then when we brought it live, it almost like made it so much better because we could everything we learned, we got to apply in person and be better friends. I mean, again, we went back to the beginning of the show. It's called Coffee with Jim and James,
Yeah. And that's what it's
and
meant to be.
that's what it's become. Right? Is now we've dropped all the garb around it, and
Yeah.
we have some real conversations, just as we would drinking coffee with our friends.
Catching up, like we're at a coffee shop and somebody walks in,
I think that's pretty awesome. Jimmy, we talked about the highlights, but let's talk a little bit about what we learned too.
Oh,
And I'll let you go first again because you're older.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
We like to say season. So, well, okay, let's be blunt. And in my seasoned, as far as age, I was
Veteran.
veteran. I like that. Okay,
Veteran
that's
of
good.
the industry veteran.
I had lived for decades, that when we're going to have a conversation or a presentation, we are on a plane or we're in a car, we're going someplace, we're on a stage with a microphone, generally we have a PowerPoint and all that. And all of a sudden, we're in a different medium. And for me, I remember at first, I'm like, what exactly is a podcast? Once we determined that we were kind of evolving to that, and I'm like, what is Zoom? And it was learning, and it was a lot of it, but really,
OGA.
OGA fall. Oh, it's awful. 2020, I gave a presentation. I was excited to give a presentation. They said it's virtual. And I'm like, okay. And I remember the first day, it was the day before. It was the day before they had a dry run because this was new to everybody. And so I had my PowerPoint up. I'm sharing the screen. I figured that out. And they said, okay, now listen, put the one with your notes on your other screen and leave the one for the audience on this screen. And I looked in the camera and I told Jeff Kaufman, I said, Jeff, I only have one screen alone. And he's like, huh? So, yeah. So anyway, we learned, but really, I got to be honest with you, James, the biggest thing that I learned was just being ourselves. Because at first, I thought that being on this was different than giving a presentation out in the world. And what that means is that, it's almost like we had to put on a persona or play a role or whatever. But once, I got past that, and when people said, Jimmy, it's great just seeing you on there, seeing you just chat with folks, it kind of made it clear to me in my head that I just had to be myself, who I am. Ashley makes fun of me and Clinton does that. I use my hands all the time, but that's who I am.
That's who he is. No doubt about it.
What about you, man? What did you take away? Because you're a technical guru.
Yeah. Don't start a podcast. No, unless you're
Agreed.
you need buckets of work. No, I'm kidding. Start a podcast. It's so much fun. Jimmy, for me, I know it's weird. I'll use it as long as y'all let me. But for the last 6 or 7 years, I've said that I'm the new guy, right? And now
you're only 6 or 7 years into it. Come on.
I know, right? But the truth is that I don't have a 20-year tenure here. I think y'all grandfathered me in because I grew up in the Permian. So y'all are like, hey, you did your time. I spent more time in the Permian than y'all did, I promise you. The first 20 plus years of my life, right? But I wasn't working there. And so I always felt kind of like, I don't want to say an imposter, but just the odd man out sometimes in conversations and things like that. And so now I'm 6 or 7 years in. And the truth is that I'm not the new guy. And there's a little bit of validation for myself in there. And that sounds bad, but what I mean is I realized that the show has allowed me to kind of jump the line a little bit.
Yep.
And maybe sit at tables that I wouldn't have been able to. Sure. And being right or wrong, being associated with you and your tenure, I was able to jump some more of the line, and I respect that, and I don't take it for granted. But I realize that I have some tenure here, and that I have a voice and some influence, and that's all I ever wanted, was to just be able to sit at the table and talk. And so, very thankful for that. And that's been a huge kind of takeaway for me, is that I probably wouldn't have had that so quickly without the podcast.
I agree.
That makes sense.
No, well, perfect. Like, yeah, it makes sense. I think that's, just one quick point. I think that's validated when we do go out into the world and we're at conferences and somebody comes up to us that we may or may not know, or somewhat know, and they just mention the podcast. And for me, it just validates that what we're doing makes a difference in people's lives. They don't have to say that; they can walk right by
I
it.
think I called you one day, Jimmy, from a conference, and I said, "This is the first conference I've been to since the podcast started that I was by myself." And I was speaking, I was keynoting. We were doing the podcast there with, it was OGA. Jason Crow was doing it with me.
Yeah.
But I called you and was like, man, like it feels weird to be able to stand here and people come up and come talk to me, where before I was just next to the gym, and now there's people I introduce Jim to, and that's weird for me because again, I felt like the new guy, right? So I don't know, it's been funny. Jimmy, here recently we got invited to the Alabama Pipeline Safety Conference in Montgomery.
Yeah,
Alabama.
coming up in December. Yeah,
good friends over there, and
Randall Hand and a bunch of others.
Absolutely, and I don't know. It kind of, I think, and we talked about this in the pre-show when we were saying, what was the kind of the final point, and we were saying we kind of came to a realization here lately that this is thought leadership.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And I don't know that we've always seen it that way. And I know that you're like, whatever, dude. But really, at the beginning, we were doing it for ourselves. We wanted to be able to, truth be told, we wanted to be able to put our product and our people in front of, and solutions in front of people. We wanted it for our own mental health. We've been very clear about several of the objectives of it, and to give a vehicle for other people to put their products and services in front of the industry, right? But as things went on, that's changed a little bit more and more. And we're speaking at the Alabama Pipeline Safety Conference.
Together, both of us.
Together, basically keynoting, kicking off the thing. And we're talking about the show. And we're talking about the stories and the people and how it's a secret weapon in thought leadership as a whole. This is just one example. This weird thing that we did over the last 2.5 years is one example of thought leadership. And thought leadership's a fantastic weapon to fight for talent with these new generations. And definitely. I don't know that we started it knowing that, but man, we realize it now, how blessed we are to get to share with the industry, teach, learn together, be a voice, be an influencer, be whatever you want to call it. I'm really very, very, very proud of that.
Yeah, 100%. And that just validated by this conference. They didn't necessarily want us to come and join all the other technical sessions. They specifically said, and again, people are still trying to understand the verbiage, the cultural type of stuff and people are learning it, soft skill or, whatever they try to say, but they're like, not technical, do the personal stuff. It's fun to watch it, but it also shows us that we're on a journey and how important this is to all aspects of our industry.
Yeah. And how meta that we're talking about thought leadership. About thought leadership. We're doing thought leadership about thought leadership. So yeah, it's amazing. Well, Jimmy, this is kind of letting everybody know about the hiatus, right? It's great to look back, think about those first 140 plus
2.5 years.
But what does the future hold for the show? What does this hiatus look like? When can we expect it back? So February 1, we'll be kind of rolling everything back, wherever that falls.
2023, just a little bit of a break.
That is right. So doesn't the whole industry take off after Thanksgiving anyway?
Well, yeah, it's pretty much from Thanksgiving.
Unspoken. I'm kidding, Coleman. I'm kidding. Just kidding. We're totally working.
No, yeah.
No.
Diligently.
Yeah.
20 hours a day.
Absolutely. Disregard that time off request. But what you can expect during the hiatus is we're going to go back and pull some of the great episodes, the greatest.
Some of the fun stuff.
That means. we're going to pull a bunch of episodes. We're going to kick those back out. So if you're a new listener, maybe haven't went back into the vault, it's be a great time to catch up. So we'll be putting those out. We'll also be honing our message and our delivery for next year, and what that first part of the season looks like. And we're going to kind of get more into a season mode. That's really what we're doing.
Yes.
New guest, Jimmy, some old friends.
All the above.
We have Stewart, right now. Probably Stewart Salters. You know, he always finds a way to get on.
Yep.
There's a few people that always make it on, you know.
Oh, yeah. We can't say no to them, right?
No,
you know,
that's
all right.
Won't.
Live events, we're going to be very, very sharp and focused on some very big live events. And
we have some great opportunities out there, and we're excited to. We're not going to tip our cards yet. Because there's a lot of conversations going on. However, if you are an association, I will put this out there. If you've listened this whole time, God bless you. If you're an association, reach out to us if you need a little bit of extra excitement leading up to, during, and after your events. We did some awesome stuff this past year, and we have a lot of collateral that we can share and show you what that looks like. And so,
we've actually put together some strategy thoughts for 2023 about associations, not just the event, but prior, during the event, and after. And not just, a few different social media platforms, which is exciting.
Absolutely. And, that's just some of what we're looking at for live events. Like we said, those have turned into the sweet spot. We love them. Love them. They're so much fun. It makes me want to get up even more for a conference. Is that possible? So we're going to be doing that. And we're going to sharpen our saw.
Yeah, definitely.
We need take a little bit of a break. We're going to consume some content for a little bit. We were so blessed, man, so thankful for the guests we had this year. All the guests we've had, the hundreds of guests we've had over the past 2.5 years. And
each and every audience member, everyone.
All 16 subscribers that we have.
Are we up to 16? I thought we were at 15.
Yeah, my mom registered twice. She messed up. We grew. Yeah. Anyway, no. Guys, we were so blessed to get to share coffee with y'all each time. Jimmy,
definitely.
Dude, you're a rock star. Can't wait
you are, brother.
To bring this next season to life and show everybody what we've been working on. So again, if you want to get on the show, you got some ideas, or like I said, those associations out there that want to bring a little bit more to their event, reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you. We can customize something that makes sense for you and yours. So, Jimmy, man, it feels like we're signing off.
I need a tissue. Hey,
that's really why I was crying when I got on.
Oh, you were coughing. You had a coughing attack. But 2023 will, as by all plans, be one of our best years, and we're excited about it. It'll be innovative. It'll be some new things, and I can't wait to kick it off, brother.
And we're not canceled.
No,
don't spread that rumor.
Not yet.
All right, we'll see y'all.
All right. Hey, man, happy holidays.
Oh yeah, cheers. We won't see y'all till next year.
Happy
see
holidays.
You guys next year.
Yeah. That's wait. How? No, I do it like this. I got to do it right.
The finger gun.